You just left a conversation. Everything seemed fine on the surface. But you are sitting in your car, replaying every single word, and you cannot figure out why you feel so small right now. Nothing mean was said, no insult, no argument. Yet somehow, you walked away feeling like you owe someone an apology for something you cannot even name. If that has ever happened to you, this video is going to feel uncomfortable because what you just experienced has a name. It has a structure, and worst of all, it was done to you on purpose. Here's what most people get completely wrong about narcissists. They imagine some loud guy at a party who talks about himself for 45 minutes straight. Someone so obviously in love with their own reflection that you can spot them from across the room. That version exists, but that version is the amateur. The ones who cause real damage, you would never pick them out of a lineup. They are the coworker everyone adores. The partner your friends keep telling you is such a catch. The parent who looks like a saint on the outside while slowly taking you apart behind closed doors. Psychology has studied these patterns for decades, and what it reveals is something most people are not ready to hear. Picture this. Monday morning, they send you the sweetest text you have ever received. You feel seen. You feel valued. By Wednesday, they act like you barely exist. No explanation, no fight, just ice. So what do? You chase, you try harder, you replay Monday in your head trying to figure out what you did right so you can do it again. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement, and it is the exact same mechanism that makes slot machines the most profitable invention in gambling history. The win is random, unpredictable, and that randomness is what keeps you pulling the lever. Your brain does not get addicted to the good moments. It gets addicted to not knowing when the next good moment will come. Every cold shoulder makes the next crumb of affection feel like a feast. And here's the gut punch. You are not staying because you love them. You are staying because your nervous system has been hacked into thinking the chaos is love. Stop and ask yourself something. Have you ever described a relationship as intense and meant it as a compliment? Keep that thought, because what comes next will change how you hear that word forever. You are in an argument and you bring up something that happened last week. You remember it clearly, the words, the tone, the look on their face, and then they hit you with 5 words that change everything. That never happened that way. They say it so calmly, so matter of fact, and for a second, you actually pause and wonder if your own brain made it up. That is gaslighting. But forget the buzzword for a second. What is actually happening inside your head is far more interesting. Your brain keeps a record of reality. Think of it like a journal that writes itself. Gaslighting does not argue with the journal. It teaches you to stop reading it. It starts small. You are overthinking this. That is not what I meant. You always twist things. Why do you have to make everything a big deal? None of those sentences sound like abuse. They sound like someone being reasonable. And that is what makes them so dangerous. After enough of these moments, you stop trusting the journal entirely. You start asking the other person, what is real? Which means they now own your version of reality. No fist was ever raised, no door was ever slammed. But something inside you went quiet, and you did not even notice when it happened. Now here's the part that makes people furious when they first learn it. Everything you just heard, that only works on you. The narcissist has an entire audience of people who will swear you are the problem. You finally decide to tell a friend what is going on. You pick your words carefully. You share one example, maybe 2. And your friend tilts their head and says, "That does not sound like them at all. Are you sure you are not reading into it?" And just like that, the ground disappears beneath you. Psychologists have a term for the people around a narcissist who unknowingly enforce their narrative. They call them flying monkeys. The narcissist does not need to be in the room to control you. They have already told their version of the story. To your friends, to your family, sometimes to your coworkers. By the time you speak up, the verdict is already in, and nobody even realizes they were part of the jury. This is the loneliest part of the whole experience. Not the fights, not the silent treatment. The moment you realize that the people you trusted to see the truth have already been handed a different script. So at this point, you might be wondering, why me? Out of all the people they could have chosen, why did they pick you? The answer is probably the opposite of what you think. If you are watching this video and nodding along, chances are you are not a cold or careless person. You are probably the opposite. You feel too much. You notice when someone is uncomfortable at a dinner table. You apologize even when you were the one who got hurt. And that is exactly the trait a narcissist is scanning for. Research on toxic relationship dynamics keeps pointing to the same pattern. Narcissists do not target people who will fight back immediately. They target people who will try to understand. People who will say, maybe I am being unfair, before they say, you are hurting me. Your empathy is not the problem, but in the hands of someone who sees compassion as a resource to be mined, it becomes the perfect control mechanism. Every time you gave them the benefit of the doubt, you handed over another piece of the remote control. So no, you were not chosen because you are weak. You were chosen because you are the kind of person who gives people 70 chances before walking away. And someone saw that and thought, perfect. Once you see all of this for what it is, something weird happens. The confusion that has been following you around for months or years suddenly has a shape. The fog lifts, and for the first time, you realize that the chaos was never random. It was choreographed. You were not losing your mind. Someone was rearranging the furniture in it and telling you it had always been that way. The pain does not disappear when you understand the pattern. That is not how this works. But something does change. You stop directing all that energy inward. You stop asking, what is wrong with me? And start asking a much more interesting question. What was done to me? And somewhere in that shift, a voice comes back. A quiet one. The one that used to say, this does not feel right, before you were trained to ignore it. Maybe it sounds a little shaky right now. Maybe it does not trust itself yet after everything that happened, but it is yours. It was always yours. And no one who spent that much effort trying to silence it ever deserved to be the loudest voice in your head.